Hello and thank you for joining me for this session. Today we will be discussing the important topic of export control determination and codification of controlled goods. As businesses expand globally, it becomes essential to understand the regulations and requirements of exporting products to different countries. One of the key aspects of this process is the determination and codification of products, which involves assigning a specific code to each product for identification. In this presentation, we will explore the significance of determination and codification, the different types of codes used in international trade, and the benefits of implementing a robust system for managing this process. Controlled goods refer to items and technologies that are regulated by governments due to their potential to pose a threat to regional or national security, breaching international protocols or human rights. These goods are subject to strict export controls, and their distribution and use are typically restricted or monitored. Controlled goods can include military equipment, dual-use items with both civilian and military applications, and technology related to nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. The exact definition of controlled goods may vary depending on the country or region in question. In the United Kingdom, there is a single document that compiles all the lists of sensitive goods that have been agreed upon internationally and nationally. This document, known as the UK Strategic Export Control Lists, also includes other items that are linked to UK defence, security, or foreign policy considerations and are categorized as strategic military and dual-use products that require export authorization. The two main lists are military goods and dual-use goods. However, there are also other lists including the Human Rights List. Military goods refer to the products, equipment, and components utilized by military forces during their operations and missions. These goods may include weapons, ammunition, vehicles, ships, protective gear, communication devices, and specialized equipment. In addition to physical goods, controlled military items also encompass software and technology that consist of specific technical information and data. These items are designed or modified for military use. These items are outlined in the military list, which is contained within of the strategic arms control lists. Military goods comply with specific military requirements and standards, which covers a broad range of goods designed or adapted for military use. As can be seen, the list is subdivided in equipment categories. The list undergoes regular updates to ensure it includes all relevant items that could be used by the military. However, it's important to note that just because an item is used by or designed for the military that it appears in the military list. Here is an example of a military list entry. A description of the overall category is provided, followed by detailed information about the items included in the category. Goods and technology that can be used for both civilian and military purposes are called dual-use items. However, certain off-the-shelf items have features that make them useful for chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, or conventional weapons. To prevent them from being used improperly and to uphold international laws, these items are subject to export controls and regulations to safeguard national security. The dual-use list contains various items that fall under 10 distinct categories, each with its own subcategories. These categories encompass nuclear materials, materials processing, electronics, computers, telecommunications, sensors and lasers, navigation and avionics, marine, aerospace, and propulsion. Governments use this list to regulate the export and import of these items to prevent their use for inappropriate purposes. This is an example entry for the dual-use list. It follows the same format as the military list, starting with a general system description and followed by the technical specifications of the controlled items in the group. Note that the detail of the item specifications is very clearly defined. The detail of engineering and manufactured tolerances play a critical role in defining a product in the dual-use goods list. The government can enforce export licenses on items not listed on the Consolidated Control List using catch-all or end-use controls. This extra authority is known as end-use control. The United States controls are extraterritorial, which means that the United States enforces its laws beyond its borders, which can affect companies and individuals in other countries. Rules and regulations established applies to both the International Traffic in Arms Regulations (ITAR) and the Export Administration Regulations (EAR). When it comes to US-controlled items, there are some important points to remember. These items are regulated by the US government because they are considered sensitive or have potential military applications. They can include technologies, equipment, or materials that are subject to export controls. Handling US-controlled items incorrectly can result in serious legal consequences, including fines and criminal charges. It's important to be aware of the regulations and restrictions that apply to US-controlled items and to take steps to ensure compliance. Depending on the nature of the item and its destination, handling US-controlled items may require obtaining special export licenses or certification. It's important to know the regulations and requirements that apply to each item and to ask for guidance from experts if needed. To properly handle US-controlled items, physical security measures like approved storage and transport may be necessary to prevent breaching licensing conditions. Following best practices for securing valuable materials and equipment is crucial. Understanding and handling US-controlled items correctly is essential for complying with export regulations and avoiding legal consequences. By staying informed and taking appropriate precautions, individuals and organizations can ensure that these items are used and transported safely and responsibly. When it comes to exporting items with military applications, it's important to understand the differences between the International Traffic in Arms Regulations and the Export Administration Regulations. ITAR controls items specifically designed or adapted for military use, while EAR covers a broader range of items with both military and civilian applications. The United States government has different agencies overseeing these regulations. The Department of State controls ITAR, while the Department of Commerce controls EAR. ITAR violations can result in severe criminal and civil penalties, while EAR violations typically result in civil penalties. It is worth noting that ITAR has more stringent restrictions on military list items than EAR. For example, ITAR requires a license for the export of all military list items, while EAR has a licensing threshold based on the value and destination of the item. Navigating ITAR's regulations can be complex and challenging, which has led some companies to avoid dealing with ITAR-controlled items entirely. Therefore, it's essential to review the regulations carefully and ensure compliance to avoid costly penalties and potential legal issues. As we can see, export control is a complex process on a global scale, and to simplify it, codification has been introduced. Product codification involves assigning a unique code or number to each product for identification purposes. There are different methods of product codification determined by the previously mentioned arms control lists. There are three common methods of codification: supplier or original equipment manufacturer (OEM) declaration, self-codification, and ECJU determination service. An original equipment manufacturer declaration provides details about a product's name, model number, country of origin, compliance with regulations and standards. Use, manufacturing design, manuals or specifications. The Export Control Joint Unit provides a determination service. They can assign the control code to each product based on its characteristics and intended use. Having a product determination assists in managing products that are subject to export controls, ensuring compliance with regulations. This is an example of what a supplier or original equipment manufacturer declaration may look like. Here we have an example of a template which can be used to record the self-determination process. It is important to capture this information formally to provide evidence of determination, and provide a historic record of how and why a determination was reached. This is critical if any changes or queries are made relating to the determination. It is advisable to add export codes to drawings and technical documentation to guarantee a smooth and efficient export control management process. Here are some additional considerations to keep in mind. Incorporating export codes in documentation can prevent errors and misunderstandings during the design, development and sales process, which can save time and resources for both the exporter and importer. Export codes can also assist in complying with regulatory requirements. By including the appropriate codes, an exporter can demonstrate their adherence to all necessary rules and regulations for exporting goods. When creating documentation, it's crucial to ensure that the export codes are clearly labeled and easy to find. This can prevent confusion and ensure that everyone involved in the export process is on the same page. That all necessary information is readily available for the export process. By following these best practices and including export codes in documentation, exporters can ensure a successful and efficient export process. For businesses dealing with controlled items, it is highly beneficial to have the export code master list stored or linked to the ERP system. This can simplify the sales and license management process while ensuring compliance with export regulations. By having all the necessary information in one place, manual errors or oversight can be avoided. Linking the master list to an ERP system can also automate screening orders against it, generating necessary documentation, and assist in submitting license applications. However, some ERPs may not be suitable for companies operating outside the US. It's important to choose an ERP system that meets specific compliance needs, based on location and industry, or defining your own requirements within your ERP. It's also necessary to ensure that the ERP can handle complex export scenarios, such as dealing with multiple jurisdictions, different types of goods, and various export control regimes. This will avoid costly mistakes and ensure smooth business operations. To sum up, product codification and determination are crucial for any business to remain compliant. These processes enable easy identification and management of products throughout the supply chain. We trust that this presentation has been informative and beneficial in highlighting the significance of product codification and determination. If you have any queries or feedback, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below the video. Alternatively, you can get in touch with us if you require more detailed information. Our team is always available to offer support and assistance whenever necessary. Thank you for watching.